What a great feeling to move your body in 3 dimensions. This is the real-time version of the Turn Back Time Limberness series in the standing position. Let's get started. We're going to start off at the wall. This can be a door, this can be a car, this can be a fence. Hands forward, back foot straight. Make sure your back foot's straight. I'm going to start by rocking forward. Now the first few reps that I do, I'm listening to what my ankle's saying. I'm feeling my hip stretch. If I want to make it more intense in the calf, I drive my heel down. I really suck that heel down into the ground. After several going forward and back, I'm going to go right and left. Really moving those hips. This really gets the ankle and the foot to lubricate and release, but it also gets the hip and the spine. Now, if this is too far away from the wall, you can get closer with the back foot. Change directions. Really make big circles through those hips. Keep the back heel down if you can. Switch legs, back foot. Very important that the back foot is straight. I'm giving my first few reps being a little bit easier. Doing reconnaissance on my body, seeing what my body's saying. Does it want more stretch or less? Am I having any pains or red flags? Stay forward, go right and left. Keeping the back heel down. In fact, I'm pushing my back heel down. You might feel differences in the two sides. Circles. I happen to have a pin in this ankle, so I don't have as much range in this ankle. So it's normal for people to have asymmetries. Change directions. When you've got an asymmetry between the right and left side, you do want to try and get them as close as possible in their flexibility and their mobility for the best balance and harmony in your frame. Now we're going to switch legs again. The back foot straight. It's very important that you keep the foot straight here. I'm going to turn over to the side and then the other side. I'm rotating the hips to rotate the ankle. When I turn my foot, I push. I plant my foot and I pull. Plant my foot and I pull. Plant and pull. Plant and pull. Switch feet, back foot straight. Plant the foot and pull. Make sure that the back foot doesn't turn. It's going to want to spin here, but don't let it spin out. Okay, in our limberness series, we're moving from the bottom up. We did the ankle, now we're going to the hip. You're in any doorway. This is to stabilize you, to give you balance. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, both feet are straight. I'm going to start by rocking forward through the back hip. My back knee is pretty straight. I'm bending into the front knee. I'm holding on for stability, and where I feel it is in this front hip. Now, what I'm trying to do as I come forward is bring my torso straight up. Straight up with that torso, just like that. Now I'm going to take my arms over. So now I'm facing forward, but I'm bending laterally, so the angle at this hip is really particular. Really feeling it in that hip socket. Switch sides. You can move slower if you need to. Really feeling all this in here. This is a hip stretch. We're moving in 3 dimensions. Now I'm going to turn towards that hip. This is awesome. One of my favorite stretches. Now this creates internal rotation of that hip, and it's such an important direction for the hip that people lose, and then it really affects the way they walk. It tears up the knees and the lower back. So this feels great. Okay, we're going to switch sides. Back foot back, forward foot, feet are both straight. I start by rocking forward and back. First thing I'm doing is I'm listening to the body, doing reconnaissance. How does this side feel different? Am I feeling any pains? Can I intensify it? Should I stay at this level? These are all things I'm asking my body. Now I'm going to go ahead and go over to the side. My torso is staying pretty lateral and plane. Really feeling it through here. Doing about 5 or 6 reps or so. And then over to the other side. If you can't reach all the way to the door, that's okay. You could just go over like this. If you can make it to the door, great. I'm going to turn into it. Make sure that back foot doesn't turn out. That's pretty important. You'll lose the stretch of internal rotation if that back foot turns out. And we'll do one more. Now we're going to turn the opposite way. Really feeling through here. Turning the torso, driving the hips forward. This is a three-dimensional hip stretch in the doorway. We're moving on up the body, now moving to the spine. Put my feet at hip distance, hands on the hips. This is a three-dimensional spine reach. I'm going to be moving forward with my body and back. As I move back with the torso, my buns squeeze automatically, and I'm adding more to that squeeze. I can feel all this tightening. Forward and back. Now, the distance you move back is totally up to what your spine wants, what your spine is saying it feels comfortable with. You listen to that. If it's feeling any pain or pinching, don't go any farther. Now, I can make this harder by putting my hands here because that adds more weight. I can also make it harder by adding my arms up. That adds quite a bit more weight. Just like that. Hands on the hips again, we're going to go right and left. So just like everything else, we're going in all these different dimensions. Hips go right and left. I can make it harder by arms going up. You'll really feel this in the torso. And then I'm going to turn. Now when I turn, I'm turning from the ankle, the knees, the hips. Do you notice that my eyes are staying forward? So if my eyes are staying forward, I'm really getting a neck rotation. In all those other movements, those other directions, I was getting a neck work as well. Now we're going to move on to go wider. Same pattern. Hips forward, hips back. This is a little bit more groin. Now because my eyes are forward, I'm really getting action through the neck. If that's too much on the neck, it's okay to look down. That's going to be less neck. Every time I go back, I let my buns squeeze. Hips shift side to side. I can add more intensity by going over with the arms. That's quite a bit more. It's okay to go here or here. Now I'm going to stop in the center and turn. Now if I want to add more to the turn, notice when I turn my head here, this is not as much neck. If I keep my head forward, it's more neck. I can add also more through the arms. I can keep my hands on my hips, or can add this with my arms. This feels great. Really feeling those ankles. I'm turning at the ankles, knees, and hips. Next position, we're going to go 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Forward with the torso and back. So hand options again are the same. Hands on the hips. Hands at the chest. Hands overhead. Makes it a lot harder. Lateral. Hands at the chest. Hands overhead. All three options. You choose the one that feels best for you. Switch legs. I would start with your hands on your hips, both feet straight. If you're losing your balance here, go wider with your feet. By the way, this is also balance work, because whenever you've got 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, you're having to balance. This is great balance work because it's very functional. It's very much like what you do all day long when walking. Now I'm going to rotate. I'm going to turn my face here. Whoa, see, there's balance work. And then I'm going to keep my face forward for a little bit. Remember, the other option is here. That just really pulls your upper spine around. Feels really good. Go at the speed that you feel comfortable with. Feet are now turned in. Hips go forward. You won't have very much range. Hips go back. This is turning the hip sockets inward. It's really stretching those hip sockets. This is where most people are pretty tight. This is called internal rotation. Most people are pretty tight there. Hips go right and left. As far as you can get with those hips right and left. And rotation. I'm going to look around with the head. I'm really feeling this in the arch of my foot. This is great to build and condition the arch. Last position, toes are turned out. My knees are soft. Hands on the hips is one option. Forward and back. Now, if I keep looking straight at the horizon here, when I go forward, I'm really arching my neck. That's not bad, but for some necks, that doesn't work. If you're feeling any pinching, don't do that. Side to side. Again, other options at the chest or overhead. You choose the level that feels right for you. And last one, I'm going to choose the arms out. I'm going to turn. Turning my head at first. Other option here is going to be hands on the hips. Now I'm going to do a few with the head forward because that gets more neck. My ankles are turning, my knees are turning. If this hurts the knees, don't turn as far. Awesome. We're moving on to the shoulders, loosening up all the tissues of the upper body. I'm going to plant my feet right under those hips. My knees are soft. I'm squeezing up my buns to support my spine. Shoulders come up as far as they're willing and then pull down as far as they can. Up and down. Now when I'm working all these tissues that attach to the shoulder blade and the collarbone, and I'm moving them up and down, I'm stretching them and contracting them. I'm also working the neck muscles, so I'm getting a lot of work here that may not be apparent. Now I'm going to bring the front of the shoulders together, separating the shoulder blades, and then squeeze those shoulder blades, squeezing the buns to support the spine. Now I'm starting to turn the back of the hands together and the back of the hands together. I'm still squeezing those buns to support the spine. I'm keeping the track of motion that the shoulder blades move in nice and free and lubricated. A little bit bigger now is here, hands open, and then back of the hands together. This is a little more advanced. It feels really good. Squeeze the buns to support the spine. You don't even need to do very many reps, 5 reps or so. Now we'll stop there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to lift the elbows. Squeezing my buns to support the spine, drop the shoulders, lift the elbows. As far as the elbows can go. When you lift the elbows, try not to lift the shoulders as well. Just those elbows. Go as far as you feel comfortable. If you're feeling pinching or pain, use that as a boundary and don't go quite that far. We're loosening up all the muscles that support that girdle. Now we're going to go palms together, and I'm going to come on up. I go as far back as I can, squeeze the buns to support the spine, and then all the way back and up. Now when I bring my hands up and back, the tendency is to arch the lower back. So what I do to counteract that and to support my spine is I squeeze my buns. This is great to move the shoulder girdle and keep it nice and limber so that it can rotate on the rib cage, because it's an amazing swivel piece that's built to swivel on the rib cage. Hands down, elbows in tight, open up the hands. Open up the hands as much as you can. Keep those elbows as close as you can to your side. Open and close. Let the shoulder blades squeeze and pull apart. Squeeze and pull apart. One more time. Excellent. Moving up the body again to the shoulder girdle and the shoulders. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. This is called 3-dimensional arm raises. We're going to start off by going opposites and with the arms, alternating arms in opposite directions. I'm going as far overhead as I can, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. My hands are open up wide, stretching my fingers big and open. It's good to open up those hands really big. When I come back, I'm really stretching those arms back behind me. That really activates the muscles of the back and the shoulders. Switch feet. Notice this position I'm using with my feet. This is called staggered position. Often I'll do the exercises in this position because this really conditions the body to be handling core in a different way. Switch feet. We're going to go both arms up, both arms back, as far as I can on the up back and on the down back. Now when I go up back, the tendency is to arch the lower back And I'm being aware of that by pulling long through the head and slightly squeezing the buns. Switch the feet. Because I have that back injury, that lower back injury, I'm really aware when I'm not supporting my spine, I can feel that little break in my spine. So it's a great reminder and a cue to support my spine. So pain is not a bad thing. It can help us. Pain is a gift if you look at it that way and you abide by it. It's the body giving you signals of when it needs attention. Switch feet. We're going to go in the next plane, arms up and down. Notice when I go up with the arms, my shoulders stay down. They don't go up and down. My hands are open big and long. Stretching those fingertips. Squeezing the buns slightly. My knees are soft. They're not locked out. Switching the legs up and down. I'm also taking every opportunity I can to drive my neck back and pull my head long. That activates the core too. So between squeezing the buns and pulling the head long and sliding the neck back, your core is activated. You don't have to hold your tummy tight. Switch legs. One arm goes up, one arm goes down. So once again, pulling the head long to the ceiling, squeezing the buns, that activates all the muscles in between. So that's all your spinal muscles. Your spine has lots of security support, safety support by doing that. Switch legs. There you go. I think that I didn't do this a second time. If I did, we're getting some extra credit here. And we'll do that one more time. Now what we'll do is we'll switch legs, arms at shoulder level, and I'm going to bring them open, maybe hug my shoulder blades, and then open up those hands, squeeze the shoulder blades, switch the arm that's on top, squeeze and hug, open and back, squeeze and open. If squeezing and hugging yourself doesn't feel good, you don't have to do that. There you go. And we're going to switch legs. This is called a three-dimensional arm raise routine, and it really keeps all the tissues that are attached to the shoulder blades and the collarbone nice and soft, strong, hydrated, and healthy, nourished. There you go. Okay, moving up the body to the neck. We're moving on to the three-dimensional neck routine. I'm going to go ahead and plant my feet nice, even and straight. My knees are soft, squeezing the buns to support the spine. Tilt the head over to the side, and then over to the side. As I do that, I'm keeping my shoulders down, away from the ears. There's few options on the hands. I can even place my hands here and pull down through the flesh of my chest. So when I'm going over to the side, I really feel this stretch here. I can also put my hands down and put them palm forward, and that's a great stretch as well. Adds to some more stretch through this whole area. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on to the side here, and then I'm going to go forward and back. Whenever I go back and up with the chin, I'm always cautious and careful so that I'm listening to my neck. If I'm feeling any pinches or pains, I use that as the boundary. I don't go that far. Each time I go through this range, I'm going a little farther if I can. We'll do one more. If this speed doesn't feel good to you, you can slow it down. We'll switch sides. Use the speed that feels comfortable and safe for you. And that can be different on different days depending on what your body has been doing. If you just woke up, you might feel a little more stiff. If you're at work, you might feel a little more stiff. So abide by what your body is telling you, and it will really give you a lot if you take care of it. You and your body are in relationship. Back to the center. I'm going to go ahead and turn my head as far as it's willing. But listen to your body again. So you're in a relationship with your body. Your body gives you communication all day long. But are you hearing it? Do you know what to do with it? The first step into a happy relationship with your body is just beginning to hear it. And then learning what to do to take care of it and abide by it. Moving on to a little bit more advanced neck stretch. I'm going to go ahead again, feet are under the hips, squeeze the buns. I'm going to add the arm for a little bit more intensity. I'm going to tilt my head, add the hand, the weight of the hand, but not a pull of the hand. is pulling my neck over so I feel this part of my neck. I can put my palm forward for a little more stretch. I can pull the shoulder down. If I feel comfortable and safe, if I've done this several times and I know how my neck will react, I can give a little bit of a pull with that hand. But please be cautious. Please, I'm going to that very slowly. Now to come out of that, I use my hand to help me out. I'm going to switch sides, tilt over, add the hand. I first start with feeling what the weight of the hand feels like, and then I decide, does my neck want to go farther? If it does, I add a little bit of weight through my hand. I'm pulling my shoulder down, I'm opening up my hand, I'm squeezing my buns to support the spine. I remove the hand, use the hand to help me back up. That's a safety measure. Now I'm going to go ahead and tilt the head to the side, bring the chin down, add the hand to the back corner, pulling forward diagonally through that hand. Just the weight of the hand pulling in that direction, not really adding any weight, but just hanging in that direction. If I feel comfortable, I can add a little bit of weight. And then I'm going to use that hand to help me back up. This feels so good to be able to use the hand to help back up. What I see, this is a really big stretch for the neck. The neck on most people are pretty tight. Use the hand. And once you stretch the neck, you don't want to come out of a big stretch position using stretched muscles to pull a heavy head. Now I'm tilting back with my head, stretching this front part of the neck. I'm going to put my hand at the front corner and give it just the weight of the hand, pulling my shoulders down away from the ears, pulling my palm forward, drive that jaw up, this jaw, drive it up, close the teeth, driving the jaw up, and then help the head back. This one particularly, I think it's very important to use the hand to help the head back on this stretch particularly, where we're stretching out the front of the neck. Driving that jaw up, close the teeth, jut this jaw up, reach the ear to the ceiling, pull the shoulder down, add the hand. It's going at the front corner to pull back diagonally. Be very careful. I'm going to help my head back up to center, back to the center. That's the little bit more advanced neck stretch where we're using the weight of the hand to get a little bit deeper stretch. Make sure you've practiced the beginning neck stretch before you've done that. Last exercise, we're going to do the posture stance. Feet are under the hips, squeeze the buns, palms forward, shoulders back and down, slide the neck back, pull the head long, tuck the chin. Notice how your belly is tightening all by itself. Now relax for a second, breathe. You shouldn't be holding your breath during that exercise. We're going to do that one more time. Feet are in line with the hip sockets. Squeeze the buns, palms forward, pull the shoulders back and down, slide the neck back, tuck the chin, pull the head long. I repeat that cue, those cues over and over again because I sort of want you to hear those cues when you're doing it by yourself. We're going to end this one today by putting the hands up. Open up the hands, pull the shoulders down, squeeze your shoulder blades slightly together, just slightly, and then let them settle. Slide the neck back, pull the head long. Notice how your tummy is tightening all by itself. That's your core. And then relax. You did a super job today. Thank you.